22nd, 2022 edition of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series, brought to you by the National Urban League. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the Harlem, New York-based diversity recruitment firm, East Coast Executives. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. The Digital Career Success Series, DCSS, is a professional development series that helps members of our Urban League Young Professional chapters and other diverse job seekers develop new skill sets that will enhance their careers through digital platforms, such as webinars like this on Zoom and Facebook and Instagram Live. The goal is to provide an opportunity for professional development right from one's computer. I'm excited about the topic today. Today's DCSS is Diversity Matters. Yes, that part. And it's featuring b.Marcell Williams, Senior Manager, Employer Brand and Talent Marketing at Anheuser-Busch. And this session is sponsored by our dear friends at Anheuser-Busch. St. Louis, I see you in the chat. I know you're in here. Stand up for your girl, b.Marcell. b.Marcell, how's it going?
Hello. It's going so good. I'm so happy to be here today.
Man, you know we're excited to have you in the Anheuser-Busch brand with us today. This is going to be amazing. I looked at your slides. I'm excited. It's so much content. I'm just going to let you go ahead and go in now because I want to get through everything. And also we'll do a Q&A at the back end. Listen, everybody just logged in now. Please stay on until the end for your opportunity to be included in what we'll call a raffle to receive a resume critique and LinkedIn profile assessment. I believe our friends at East Coast Executives are doing the resume critiques, but we're excited to have you guys on. So stay on for the entire session and be entered in a drawing to receive those things. All right, I'm going to step in the back for a second. Put your questions in the chat. Let us know where you're from. Put your questions in the Q&A. Put your comments in the chat. Let us know where you're from. We're here. We're excited. b.Marcell, let's go.
All right. Thank you so much, Ken, for that lovely introduction. Again, I'm so excited to be here. And yes, I too do see my AV family there. I see my people team. Shout out to Shelby and Ariana and Brandon for checking in. I'll go ahead and dive right in. All right, so here at Anheuser-Busch, we do have 10 principles. So these 10 principles, I'm going to scatter those throughout the presentation. I like really interactive presentations. You know, I know a lot of people have Zoom fatigue for 2 years, you know, having the pandemic and having to be on Zoom. But I'm so thankful to all of you who are here with us today. So I'll sprinkle in a little bit of Anheuser-Busch mixed with a little bit of myself and my own experiences, along with some other tips and things that you all can kind of take away from with this Diversity Matters topic that we're going to talk about today. All right, so we at Anheuser-Busch, we dream big. We are building a profitable growth company. So that is why I have the next slide, which is me introducing myself. I too am a dreamer. I dream extremely big. I have big visions, big goals, and I think that everything is attainable. If you could go to the next slide, please. So I'm an award winner. I love to, you know, dream big, go after big things, do things that people say cannot be done. I am that person who wants to go after that. I also am, like Ken said, the senior manager for Employer Brand and Talent Marketing at AB. But I will have to say, you all, my most prized treasure is being a wife to Brandon Williams and a mother to our 5 children. I do love working, though. That is definitely a close second to my top treasures there. Next slide, please. All right, so throughout the presentation, we'll have a couple of commercial breaks because I do understand that some people will hop on at the beginning, the middle, the ends, and I want to make sure that you all get this information. This is a very much so shameless plug. I have on my DEI t-shirt today, representing for AB. Shout out to Tiffany.
I need that. I need that.
Yes, Tiffany, let's get him one. Let's get him one of these shirts, okay? Yes. So shameless plug, but you know, Anheuser-Busch, we are hiring. I am, again, a part of talent marketing and the employer brand. So I wanted to really be a face for you all here today and let you all know we are hiring. We are a great company that is very intentional about being inclusive with our diversity and equity. And we're always looking to partner with people like the Urban League. We are so thankful for our partnership with the National Urban League and the local chapter here in St. Louis. Shout out to the president, Michael McMillan. Much love for all the work that you're doing here in St. Louis. On the screen also, you will find my contact information. I would love to connect with people. If you are looking for an opportunity for hire or to partner, please reach out, or just to connect. I have my LinkedIn QR code up there. In addition, there's a Miro collaboration board. So I'm not sure if you all have used this tool as of yet, but you see a screenshot, it's loads of sticky notes on there. And those are our 5 takeaways for the day. Thank you so much to the Urban League for dropping that in the chat. You know, as you think of things, please, you all, let's collaborate. Let's do this thing together, because that's really what diversity, equity, and inclusion is about. It's about unity, about having understanding. Let's put some positive notes that you all have learned, or some things, some takeaways from this conversation up on that board so we can see where we're at the end of this. Next slide, please. All right, people. So one of our categories within Anheuser-Busch is people, and people being our greatest strength. We recruit, develop, and retain people who can be better than ourselves. So this is super important, because as we continue this conversation, to really understand, you know, when you have a business, when you have a company, when you are talent and you are looking to apply someplace, or even for those of you that are entrepreneurs and looking to hire, your greatest resource is your people. So really invest in them, really take the time to get to know them, and don't skim through the talent recruiting process at all. But so we here at Anheuser-Busch, we take it so serious about who we bring onto the team. We're very intentional to make sure that that we all are very different in our talent and our skill sets and things of that nature. Next slide, please. All right, verses. I know you all during the pandemic, I know everybody tapped into the verses. You know, I think there's one coming up with like Omarion and Mario or something happening. So we're gonna do a verses with D, E, and I, right? So it's super simple. But what I want to point out here is that we at Anheuser-Busch, we strive to create a more equitable world. And we do that in so many different ways. And one of those ways is our commitment to bringing people together and creating a world where equality and fundamental civil rights exist for everyone. So go to the next slide for me, please. The difference between diversity, equity, and inclusion. I want to hear from you all. Drop some things in the chat just really quick. What do you all think the difference between diversity, equity, and inclusion are? Don't be shy, because some people kind of get it confused a little bit as far as, you know, not really understanding what does the D, the E, and the I stand for. We're going to put these two against each other. I mean, these three against each other. Go to the next slide, please. All right, I guess it's cheers to me because nobody answered.
Look, I think you got everybody. Everybody's trying to think about what their favorite verses was.
So we're still stuck on the verses. Got it. Well, cheers to you all for thinking about your favorite verses. And here goes William McCoy, diversity of languages and cultures. I love that, William. So cheers to you. We'll do a Budweiser's cheers to you. Next slide, please. So the difference here between diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? So just a very basic overview for those of you that may not know exactly what this term means. It pretty much describes policies and programs that promote representation and participation of different groups. So just, within organizations and companies, corporations, this is really the term that we use to identify, just the diversity that we have within ages and races and ethnicities, abilities, things of that nature. I think one of the categories that kind of doesn't get talked about as much when it comes to DE and I are ages. So, those that are a bit more senior and seasoned in their professions, DE and I can pertain to them as well, because sometimes some companies overlook those that, have more experiences and they do discriminate against people that do have more a tad bit more years and experiences there. So I just kind of wanted to point that out as well. So diversity is the what. So diversity really is the demographic. So an example is, I'm gonna take you out to a versus party, right? So everyone is invited to the versus party, right? Everyone can tap in on Instagram or now the versus website and check it out. So all are invited. Equity is equal opportunity, so no discrimination of persons. So that just means that everyone has the opportunity. We're not saying only this group of people have the opportunity to attend, or this group of people have the only this group of people can maybe do a certain part of it, but everyone has the opportunity to be a part of the party. Inclusion is the how. So how inclusion is really about contribution. So who can actually contribute? How do we contribute? How do we bring things together? That is really how we identify inclusion. Diversity is the what, equity is the equal opportunity, and the inclusion part is the how. Next slide, please. Okay, importance of diversity in the workplace. This is Natalie Johnson, and I think she's everybody's favorite person at Anheuser-Busch. She is the first Black female brewmaster. Absolutely amazing. I've had the opportunity to speak to her. She's a brilliant, kind soul. But I think here, to really think about a brewmaster and to think about a Black person being a brewmaster, but more importantly, not more importantly, sorry, gentlemen, but more interesting, a Black female being a brewmaster. That's amazing. I never even heard of that in my life. And I'm from St. Louis, born and raised, grew up here. I'm back home, and to learn about Natalie Johnson for me is super important, because for representation purposes, to know that we can have a Black female brewmaster, for me that just says that the sky is the limit, really, that we can really do and become who it is that who we are destined to become. Next slide, please.
Hey, b.Marcell, while we're here, for our audience, if you can just explain exactly what a brewmaster is, that would probably be beneficial.
Absolutely. So in the breweries, we have those that, actually run the brewery. So to my understanding, you all, now my AV family, don't tap me on my hand when I come back. I'm working from home today, so I can present to you all. But the brewmaster, my understanding of a brewmaster is someone who has to go through years of training and understanding the science behind what it takes to brew beer, to create our products, to craft our products. And Miss Natalie Johnson has done that. She has mastered the art of brewing our products. So that's really what, to my understanding, what a brewmaster is.
I love it. Thank you. Cheers to Natalie. Amazing accomplishment.
Thank you, Brandon Williams. He said, but it's the person who supervises the brewing process of malt liquors, more specifically. All right, next slide, please. All right, so I need you all to type in the chat here. How does diversity impact the social aspect of the workspace? So the thought and the question is, for those of you that are seeking a new position, or for those of you that are seeking to hire someone, or those of you that are seeking to start your own business, really thinking about how does diversity impact the social aspect of the workspace? What does that look like for your team when you have more than just one person that is different than others, when you have a diverse multitude of people that can really speak to a lot of different things? What does that look like? Tiffany says that it helps underrepresented groups feel included. Thank you, Tiffany. I love that answer. Diversity impacts the social aspect because it determines the conversations that are had before critical decisions are made and enhances the cultural competency. Thank you, Shelby, for that. All right, we'll go to the next slide. And so big cheers to Tiffany and Shelby and Freya. Please forgive me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. The company can reach the total community. Oh, I love that. So cheers to you. That's a Bud Light and a Budweiser. Cheers to you all. All right, next slide, please. All right, so the impact of diversity in the workspace. So the impact that happens when you are able to diversify your actual team and your company and your culture, that there's a variety of ideas that happen. So there's a number of different perspectives that come to play, and there are a lot of different learning opportunities. I know for myself, in starting at Anheuser-Busch, I am a part of an amazing team that's full of different personalities, different backgrounds, different cultures, and I am loving getting to know each and every one of the people on my team, and then also those that are maybe outside of my team as well. So they give me new insight, they give me they spark new inspiration and things of that nature. One of the golden nuggets for me on this one is that different talents and experience, different talent bring different experiences and various skill sets, which can also bring about creative and innovative solutions. Here, today the world is moving so fast, Kenneth, like after the pandemic, so many things have changed. So right now it is so important and crucial for all companies to really be able to think different, right? Think outside of the box. We are no longer the world that we were pre-pandemic. And so now it's really time for us to, be inclusive and invite those that are not similar to ourselves into the space.
What I don't want to put you on the spot here, but you bring up a really good, you bring up an opportunity to ask a question. So understanding coming out of COVID, and like you said, you're working from home today because you can, but a lot of people are working remotely. What are you using? Are there any tools or any practices that you're using to continue to reinforce DEI in your workplace, even though you might be working independently from home?
Absolutely. So some of the things that I do is I really check in with my different teammates. So I'll check in with them. I'll reach out to them, and I'll let me just back up, because there was a time where I was working from home. I think everybody about 3 months ago, we're still all working, remotely from home. So, some of the things that we did during the pandemic were have those coffee chats, via Zoom. So where you would schedule, put 15 minutes on your colleague's calendar, or really networking with people on LinkedIn and saying, hey, do you have 10 minutes to hop on a quick virtual call with me to connect, right? Because we were all a bit separate, and connection was key for us to just kind of help maintain our sanity to the best of our ability. So I think really being able to just be intentional about reaching out to other people. And this is something that you can also do while you're actually working in person. Go across, different departments or functions in your company and talk to people that may not even be on your team or may not even be in your area. But really being able to connect with people, for me, is key in working remotely or even working from home.
I love it. b.Marcell Williams on the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. I know a lot of you are taking this in. Please know that this show will be up on the YouTube channel for the Urban League Digital Career Success Series, probably by the end of the week. Dory does a great job of getting that up. So stay with us till the end. Again, we will be raffling off resume review and LinkedIn critique. So back to b.Marcell.
All right, thank you. So at the bottom of some of these slides, I'll have a little golden nugget, and I'll talk about some of my experiences. So entrepreneurs. So here in St. Louis, there is an organization called We Power. They do an amazing job of working on behalf of Black and Brown communities here in St. Louis. And the diversity that they bring about really helps to bring about changes and empower the Black and Brown communities in St. Louis. So one of the reasons why I have them here is because as a resource and as an example for you. I know originally I was going to talk about resources in different ways that people could tap into, DE&I, but I did want to make sure I implemented that into this presentation. So go ahead, scan the QR code. Like Kenneth said, this will be back up on, the National Urban League's YouTube channel and website. So feel free to go back, rewatch it, and get any of these QR codes that you see scattered throughout this presentation. Next slide, please. All right, what are the advantages you see from more diversity in a workspace? If you could go to the next slide, I will be happy to answer that question.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this part of it. You guys can go to the next slide because we're going to talk about advantages you see with more diversity in the workplace with b.Marcell Williams.
All right. So 5 reasons why workplace diversity is key for business. So I do have some resources up here about from SCORE, and Tiffany Walton just noted that unique perspectives is definitely an advantage. So there were 5 reasons why workplace diversity is key for business. it provides your company with a different perspective and it enhances your talent pool. So really being able to, bring about different people, different perspectives, very much so similar to what we've been talking about already. This is part of that thread. It can create better vendor relationships. So here's one of the pieces for me that are key. So as we all know, business to business, business to consumer, there's vendors, there's small businesses, there's big businesses that do business with one another. Really being able to diversify your staff and your talent team will help you with relationships. It allows you to really be able to connect with one another, really being able to kind of have a little bit better understanding of different communities, different cultures, and just the work that each other may do within their respective companies, and things of that nature. And my favorite part of this is that it strengthens your company's culture of teamwork. We are really big. I know the people team at Anheuser-Busch is super big on company culture. Anheuser-Busch is really big on company culture. We love a future with more cheers, and we love moments that matter. And the way that we're able to do that is to really, get outside of who we are. So we do our ERG groups, like shout out to Ashley Furness, who just led the Juneteenth event with Porter Brown Society. And that really allowed for us to share our culture, our celebrations, our freedom with our colleagues, that are not from our same community or background and may not really understand what Juneteenth is. It's a newly recognized federal holiday. And now we got the opportunity to share that with our colleagues and really have a richer culture with our colleagues and our new interns. It also connects you to the community that you serve. So we are all on this earth together. We are all living, breathing, we're breathing in and out the same air, drinking somewhat of the same water or beverages or Anheuser-Busch beer, So it just really helps us to connect to our community and really be able to be one with each other. The golden nugget for me for this one is on business. There's a school in Madison, Wisconsin, a beautiful example of the way that they diversify their not only their talent, but also their student population, their community relations. You all feel free to grab that QR code so you can check them out. But if you can see on this picture, their staff spotlight is a woman who is of Asian descent. Their partners, the community partners, are of Black and Brown communities. Their students and their faculty. You can see that it's a pretty much a huge mixture of different ethnicities. So I think once you have that opportunity, you really get to more of a global opportunity to really learn about what's happening around the world, where people come from, how do they eat, how do they drink. And I have had a personal experience with this school, and it's absolutely phenomenal the way that they have set their culture to diversify intentionally their staff and build a community that is extremely inclusive. Next slide, please. We can make the slide deck available after the presentation, I suppose. Kenneth, is that okay?
Well, we will be sharing it on the Urban League Jobs Network YouTube channel as well. So if someone wanted to review it, they can watch it there.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so benefits from having a more diverse staff. I love this photo. So this is one of Anheuser-Busch's, I believe this is from our European zone, Women's Day, because women, we also, that's another area that we don't talk enough about when it comes to DE&I. So when you have, senior leadership, when you have those at the top, what does your leadership look like? Of course, race is a huge point for us. Of course, LGBTQ is a huge point for us, but then also for women, having a diverse field of women at these top organizations and really being able to pour into them. So our greatest strength, again, is our people. And I just love that is one of Anheuser-Busch's, top 10 principles that we really identify and are very serious about pouring into our people and really understanding them. Next slide, please. Would a more diverse staff bring about more overall success for a startup? All right, I like this question. Next slide, please. All right, so this is from toolbox.com. 3 reasons why a diverse team is crucial to startups' success. My golden nugget here is that diverse companies outperform non-diverse companies. The company that I chose to highlight here is another company from Madison, Wisconsin. It's Anesis Therapy. this therapist, her name is Myra McNair. She started in therapy about 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm hitting on a lot of different categories because I know we have a very diverse pool of talent that's on this call today. So she started in Madison, Wisconsin. Which honestly, I'm not going to lie, I did not know that many Black people lived in Madison, Wisconsin until I moved there. So, to have someone, an African-American woman, start a therapy office, but she was so intentional about making sure that her office touched on the white community, the Black community, the Asian community, the Hispanic community. So her staff, and you can see it on this picture, I just took a screenshot from her team page, and nobody is the same person. Nobody is from the same culture or background, and they all have various talents and makeups and skill sets. So this right here is another case study that I think that you all should take a look at if you're interested, if you have a startup and interested in building out a diverse team, to kind of see and really maybe even reach out to the Anesis team in Madison and ask them some questions. What did you do as far as making sure that you're intentional to get the staff? How did you recruit that staff, right? So in one of those ways, and this will come up in one of the later slides, is really, how she markets. How does she market, her positions, her open positions? Who is she marketing to? And then also, where is she actually pulling which networks is she tapping into? So not always going back to the top tier schools or the number one schools, but just really being intentional about being on the ground and pulling top talent. Next slide, please.
b.Marcell Williams sharing all of my diversity recruitment secrets. Hey, listen, but I think what she's doing is really important in showcasing what their team looks like, because as job seekers become more savvy, one of the first things they're doing that we've noticed in our recruiting practice is that they're going to the company websites and looking at the team, right? And they're looking for diversity within the team in some of the senior level positions, because then they know that that's a place that they can work and grow at. So valid point that you made there. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Kenneth. All right, y'all, it's time to hear from you again. Share your thoughts in the chat. Would a more diverse staff help a big company maintain its ability to compete in today's market? What do y'all think? Tia says, as a consumer myself, I spend my money at diverse companies over non-diverse. See? If I don't see diversity within the company, I will not support them. It's so important. It's so important.
So just based on the fact that you're here today and that Anheuser-Busch is on this platform, I'm going to have to probably indulge in a cocktail to celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion today, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So next slide. Cheers to everybody. Thank you so much for your comments in the chat. I love reading them. I'm so thankful to you for being so in tune with this conversation. It's important that true diversity. Oh, it went up. I even told my dentist that I was leaving his office because he and his company, oh, okay, are too white. Boom. Okay. Yeah, I think so. It's super important for everyone to diversify their team, their staff, who they do business with as well. So cheers to everyone in the chat for being engaged in this conversation. Next slide, please. All right, this is a brief commercial break. So if you're just tuning in with us, please go to the Myro Collaboration Board. If you are looking for, any positions, we are hiring, and we're always looking to partner with diverse organizations and businesses. So please feel free to use my LinkedIn QR code to reach out at any time. And don't forget to use that Myro Collaboration Board. You all will actually be able to utilize that for the rest of this week to kind of, go back after this and type in any takeaways that you've had. I know sometimes it's kind of hard to think off the top of your head as to what you're really going to take away from this. So feel free to go back during this week and add those in. Next slide, please. All right, mindset while searching for more inclusive hires. I love this. I took these images off of our website because every business has different functions, has different departments. I mean, you just need that, right? Just in order to run a business. So when you're thinking about actually recruiting, what does that look like? So we at Anheuser-Busch, we recruit, develop, and retain people who can be better than ourselves. I love that because I am a lifelong mentor. And my goal as a mentor is for my mentees to be 10 times better than me, right? The only way that we can truly grow and continue to grow our businesses and to ourselves as talent is if we strive to be, if we strive to be better, or if we strive to get top tier talent, if we strive to get people um, that have the skill sets and the understanding and the will to actually do these things. And sometimes those people don't always look like us, right? So keeping an open mindset while searching for more inclusive hires. I'm ready for the next question. Next slide, please. Okay, how would a more inclusive hire pool impact individual job performance? I love this question. Next slide, please. All right, so there are 6 ways that diversity and inclusion impact the cost and effectiveness of recruiting. This is from Forbes. So they have 5 different stages, right? And I'm gonna walk through these a little bit. Awareness, where you look for talent. So like I said before, where are you looking for talent? Are you looking at the same places? Are you going only back to your alma mater to just pull the same people from that are just like you, think like you, that have been, bred just like you? So where are you really looking for your talent? Perception, so language you use in the way that you market the position. Going back to the Anissa's case study, right? So she markets her positions to everyone. She makes sure that even in English, that her literature is translated into Spanish. So are we doing that? Are we translating, our information? Are we translating our positions into Spanish to welcome other ethnicities whose native language aren't English? Reputation, talent share experiences. So people are actually sharing, you all, their experiences on Glassdoor and on Dipper and on these job recruiting sites. They are literally, scoring you. They're identifying, your pitfalls, and they're sharing those with other people. So what are we leaving? What type of impressions are we actually leaving in people's minds? What are the experiences that we want them to have? What would you want your first date to be like as talent? What would you want your first date to be like? And then use that as your starting place. Unconscious bias. So blind resume reviews. So a lot of times people have bias because some names aren't as white sounding, or they may have more African tones to them. So blind resume reviews takes the names off, and we have more diverse teams that are reviewing resumes. So that is another way that you all can, as business owners, can actually be proactive in making sure that you're getting diverse hires by taking the bias out of the resumes and looking at the talent, looking at the skill sets, and making sure that you have more people that are not the same actually reviewing these resumes. Pattern matching, again, going back to, the places that you're comfortable. If I had success and I came from here, then I know this person's going to have success and do well here as well. So, really pattern matching and taking a look at that. Stop doing that. Don't do that. Really look at people for the value that they bring to the position that you're offering. And then compensation. This one is my favorite because do not pay people based off of, what the actual of what they are, or who you think they are. Pay them based on the value of that position. So one of the things that we do at Anheuser-Busch, my golden nugget for this is with big business and partnerships, is that we really look to partner with, like I said before, a variety of diverse partnerships with organizations like the National Urban League. This really gives us the opportunity to share with you all the things that we're doing, and to really share the great things that we have coming down the pipeline, and then the ways that we are intentionally trying to make sure that everyone has a fair playing field, right? So really being able to partner with people. So if you are a business owner, or if you are a company, how are you pouring back into your partnerships? How are you really utilizing your relationships with people? Going back to that whole vendor piece, relationships are key. We are out of the age of just transactional. We are really into that space of relational interactions with one another, both personal and in business. Next slide, please.
You know what? Hey, let's stay here real quick. I know under reputation you mentioned Dipper, and yes. I'm so glad you mentioned them because Netta Jenkins is a friend of the family here at the National Urban League, and personally, I love her. Love the work that her and her co-founder are doing with Dipper. Please, if you guys can, Google Dipper. Go in, create a profile, share information. She's doing some amazing work, and it's two African-American women that are trying to make a difference and share unique experiences with everyone. So please take a look at Dipper, support Netta, and tell them the National Urban League sent you over there. We appreciate it. Next slide.
All right. Well, cheers to you, Kenneth, for dropping that in there. Next slide, please. You guys, I'm serious. We love to cheers to our team. We love to cheers to just having moments and taking and being intentional, the culture at AB, you know, to connect with one another, so much so that we work on a collaborative space. So there aren't any private offices. We have conference rooms. It's really about connecting with one another. So lots and lots of love and cheers here. How would a more inclusive hire pool and team help strengthen overall company success? So if you have a company or if you're a part of a company, how do you think, take this more personally, how do you think that if your company was more inclusive, that it will strengthen your company's overall success? So think about that and drop those in the chat. And fostering an inclusive culture. So here again, we have Ms. Natalie Johnson. She's with Dwayne Wade. On this, there's actually a video clip. The link is up there. I think it's the clip. I don't think that QR code goes to that clip. I think it goes to the Anheuser-Busch page. But take some time to take a look at that actual video. It is the most empowering piece here. So fostering an inclusive culture for us. I'm really big, like I said before, on mentorship, and I love children, and I love those types of things. So I 100% have a heart for Anheuser-Busch and the Anheuser-Busch Foundation and the scholarships to empower future leaders. So we give a lot of money away to help educate those that do not have the finances to maybe finish their degree. So I know there's a lot of college students that, you know, have this happen to them where they have to drop out. They've worked very hard for 3 years or, you know, 2.5 years, and they have to drop off because they don't have enough funds to finish their education. So it means the world to me that Anheuser-Busch gives scholarships to the United Negro College Fund and HSF. That really means a lot to me as a member of the Anheuser-Busch family. Next slide, please. Okay, so how can other companies replicate an inclusive culture for their own workspace's success? So before we go to the next slide, I'm gonna just let you all know the next slide is extremely personal to me. Like I said before, I am a huge advocate for mentorship, and I believe the next slide are some of my tips, my personal tips on how you can actually have an inclusive culture within your own workspace. And this speaks to nonprofits. Next slide, please. So while at Howard University, I'm a graduate of Howard. So if there's any, you know, my Howard people out there, what's up, HU, you know,
they're
Bison.
everywhere. So I'm sure they're on. I'm sure there's a few on because they are indeed everywhere.
We are everywhere, absolutely. So while I was there, my senior year at Howard University, I started an organization called Jules Incorporated, which we actually do this. So the inclusive part, right? So at Howard University, we sit on top of what we call the hilltop. And it sits in the middle of Washington, D.C. And while I was there at Howard for about 3 years, I literally was a part of so many different organizations, cheering and all that stuff, right? But I would see so many young girls that were really about, I just felt like they needed role models. So for me, I kind of started my journey in DE&I through Jules Inc., where I did not just allow for people to, I didn't create a program where we bus people to us. We actually went out into the community. We were very intentional about going outside of the walls of Howard and mentoring to young girls, right? So the relative piece here is that there may be some people that you don't understand, because I didn't understand why these girls were not, you know, in after school activities, and I really didn't understand their upbringing and, you know, background. So instead of me just sitting there wondering, I did something about it, and I was very intentional about creating a connection or creating a bridge into their world to really fully understand, and then offer mentorship as they needed, not as I saw fit. So, being a jewel, how to replicate an inclusive culture, simply be inclusive. So invite everyone to have a seat at the table and allow their voices to be lifted. That's what we did within Jules, even the young girls. Remember the age part at the beginning when we were talking about DE&I and the different categories and how we can discriminate. We can discriminate against young, we can discriminate against old, but if you allow people the opportunity to share their voice, you'll learn so much more. Don't discriminate on sex, gender identification, race, or disabilities. Everyone has their own talents, their own gifts, and we all have something to bring to the table. So don't discriminate against that. Encourage talent to show up 100% as themselves. So I love it when my colleagues just really represent who they are and just really show up as themselves. And I also love it how my colleagues also in other fields and areas that I used to work in, they would allow coachable moments that don't promote code switching. So they would allow us to be who we are, but then they would coach us on, the different areas that we were working in or functioning in, right? So it didn't necessarily mean that we couldn't be who we are, but it also didn't promote us to code switch. Now, y'all know what code switching is, right? Ken, do you know what code switching is? Ken, what's code switching?
All right, I had to come back to you. So yeah, definitely know what code switching is. And so listen, it's important to bring yourself to your unique self to work, right? But oftentimes we're another person, or we feel like we have to be another person at work that's different from the person that we are in our other activities. Some of that's just part of the process, but especially as diverse members of a workplace, we often feel that we can't really be ourselves in that environment. So we code switch and change our behaviors and maybe the way we speak and things of that nature just to fit in organizationally, or at least to appear to fit in organizationally. And that is what code switching is all about.
Absolutely. So, and I love it when, when you're able to have those coachable moments, but then you're also still able to be who you are, because I feel like when you're reprimanded for being who you are, that really plays on your confidence. And oftentimes companies will lose top talent because of this, right? So mentoring matters. Clearly, this is a golden nugget for me. Mentor talent. So regardless of your level, so mentor one another's, right? This is a way that we can really be inclusive and build an inclusive culture. So where we actually mentor each other, where we share our experiences. I have a cute mate, Tiffany Walton, who for me, she's been at the company Anheuser-Busch for 11 years. And in a way, indirectly, she's a mentor to me. She's helping me really grab hold of the reins of AB and really understanding the culture. And she's doing a phenomenal job doing that. And I know she's been a mentor to so many other people. And then also, if you're a new talent, find you a mentor. Again, go out across functions and departments and just connect with people and ask them their experiences. And it's okay to have more than one mentor in more than one different area of your life. And the final piece of this is coffee chats, right? So we talked about this earlier with virtual coffee chats, in-person coffee chats. The best way to really get to know one another and really build a culture that is inclusive, diverse, and equitable is to have these coffee chats, to have these little moments where you're able to connect with one another one-on-one. And I did see that, I think it's Mark up here, that you're from Howard HU. I had to shut that out. Okay, so all right, y'all. What are you gonna say, Kenneth?
I was gonna say you had to do it, right?
I had to.
Right. It wouldn't have been right. And I'm sure Mark is appreciative of that as well.
All right. Is there a certain model for equity within work culture that works best to support the company as a whole? So this one, I would love to hear from you all. Is there a certain model for equity within your work culture that works to best to support the company as a whole? So think about that. Is there a certain model? Is there a certain equation? Is there how we had D versus E versus I? Is there a D plus E plus I? What is that model that works best? What is that model that works best for everyone? Or is there one size fits all? I'll share my thoughts. Kenneth, what do you think?
Well, you know what? I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I don't want to taint the
Yeah.
conversation with my thoughts, but I would love to hear your thoughts, especially regarding the one size fits all.
Yes. So I 100% think that there is no cookie cutter answer to this. I don't think that there is an equation. I don't think that there is, a certain number or metric or things of that nature. I think that is pure authenticity and intentionality on behalf of the teams. So really wanting to be able to have an environment to create a space where everyone can be included. Because I believe that that's the first step to having a diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment and company and corporation is one, the awareness that maybe you are not, right? So maybe you're not that company, but you strive to do it. So actually taking time and investing in different programs, different learning opportunities, things like this, which is time, right? This is an investment of your time. Time you cannot get back. So thank you so much for being here, but really being able to be intentional about, the fact that maybe I'm not as um, maybe I'm not where I want to be, but I'm striving to be there. And I know for Anheuser-Busch, we 100% are striving to do the best that we can with what we have and continue to move forward bit by bit. Things don't just happen and change overnight, but a lot of things can change if we continue to take each step.
But I want to kind of chime in on and I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name. I think it's Tunisia, but she had mentioned that it starts at the top. It's senior leadership, right?
Mhm.
And I definitely believe that to be the case. And I think sometimes, what I've noticed is line staff and middle management and even entry level talent. They feel obligated to be the flag bearers for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I
Mhm.
don't know if that's their responsibility. I think it takes everyone, but really there has to be some things in place that allow for the freedom to kind of express yourself and to be included within an organization. And I think that comes from the top. So I appreciate the comment because I do believe that to be true.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love what Tiffany just dropped in the chat too. See, she's mentoring me even virtually. It's a thing, y'all. It's really a thing. She said specifically our inclusive interview trainings as a model to promote equity in our hiring practices. And that is something that our people team is very intentional about, is having different ways that we can really make sure that everyone has a level playing field. And that's one of the things that I'm learning about Anheuser-Busch is that there's different training opportunities and learning opportunities where really helps to level the playing field, right? So even those that come from top tier, colleges and things of that nature, everyone doesn't receive the same opportunity. But what we're doing is we are definitely trying to make sure that everyone has those trainings and has those opportunities to be able to apply and be a part of our team.
So do you work with Tiffany?
I do. I
Man,
love Tiffany.
I know what, I'm loving her as well. I've been looking at her comments consistently through this, and she's a thought leader in the space. Like you can tell, like that she's really in tune with what's happening. Tiffany, you gotta hit us up. We've got to bring you back on the Digital Career Success Series. So let's share a conversation.
Yeah, Tiffany's amazing. She's amazing. So and she really helps us to, make sure that we're building an inclusive company, community, and culture here at Anheuser-Busch.
That's great. Excellent. It's the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. We're on with b.Marcell Williams. We're coming down the stretch. Please drop your questions in the Q&A. I know she's giving you so much information that you probably can't even formulate questions in your head because you're just trying to process what's happening here. You've been amazing. Let's keep it going.
Absolutely. So cheers to Tiffany, because we just talked about Tiffany and she said yes, sir. So I think Tiffany's ready and willing to come back. Um, I want to read this from Sandra. That is how it is in the organization I work. They got rid of the top, the head on down through administration that were prejudiced. Now we are more diverse, equity, and inclusive. See, now I think that is so important. That's going back to like that last piece that we were just talking about, right? So just really having that awareness of where are you. So doing that self-assessment, taking time, it's this part right here is really going to take time. This is an ever evolving space that we've entered, that has been, but we've really become intentional about, I believe, as a whole here in the United States, making sure that we are being very extremely inclusive. So really being able to just kind of, do an assessment of who's on your team, what people's thoughts are, how do we interact with each other, how do we engage with one another, not just in the workplace, but then also how are we treating one another, when we're out in the community. Because if you're a business or if you're an entrepreneur, you are in a community, you operate, you work, you live in a community. So how are you engaging with your neighbors? How are you engaging with, your peers, or, people that that are servicing you, right? So it's really taking that hard heart check and looking in deep within and saying, am I here to be about this particular time as far as diversity, equity, and inclusion? Do I really stand for that? And if not, what are some ways that you can start to grow or learn to be a part of that? And then I think from, as a new talent or a fresh talent perspective, we are extremely, into, well, what are you doing? And even if a company is not where you think they should be, do a deep dive, with the person that's interviewing you or your potential employer, and ask them, well, what are you all doing about this? Is there a plan for this? Because they may just be new in their awareness as well, as far as, oh, you know what, we're not where we want to be. So really take the time out to do your research about companies that you're going to go work for. If you are a new startup organization or nonprofit organization and you want to work around this space, I really highly, and existing corporations as well, I 100% would suggest that everyone take a look at your mission, your vision, your purpose, your goals, objectives, and outcomes. I call it MVP Go, because everything that you do should have those elements to it. And that's why it was so important for me here today to implement and make sure that you all understood the 10 principles of Anheuser-Busch, because these are the things that we're working towards. These are the areas that we are intentional about. And no company is perfect, but for me, if you are trying, then I will be right there alongside of you and working with you to help get us to where, we dream to be.
It's so important what you mentioned, like, from startup to established company, right? There's a gentleman, his name is Paolo Giordano, and he has what he calls a diversity simulator. He actually did a talk on it, and you can find it on YouTube, but he shows kind of how one misstep or one bad hiring practice can impact an organization for decades to come, right? Just through the way people naturally get promoted or the way they move up through an organization. Some of that's changing right now with just technology kind of leveling some of those places and fields. But it's such an interesting simulator because literally he shows you like how the top of an organization can turn monolithic just through certain hiring practices.
Yes.
And the next thing you know, 10 years later, you have an all-white male, senior leadership team, right? And so it's just really interesting. So to your point, if you can start early and start right, it will help your organization be diverse for years to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. That's extremely interesting. So with our culture, and here we are nearing the end, and this is where, we'll have those takeaways. And so I did see that we had some visiting writers on the Miro board that were just kind of taking a look at everything. Feel free to go on there and you all, add your viewpoints. If Urban League, if you all can drop it in the chat one more time so we can really have understanding amongst one another. This is about unity. This is about coming together. This is about having empathy for people. So again, our culture, our greatest strength is our people. So, at Anheuser-Busch, that is my favorite piece about AB, is that our greatest strength is our people. That might be why I'm on the people team. So, but, just understanding that we are a company of owners. So if we see something that may be a challenge or could use additional love, then own it, right? So let's figure out, how do we provide a solution for this? How can we work together to, bring about a solution? So I challenge you all, be a company of owners, be a person of ownership, of owning, things that you see that could be better. How, if you see it, then you more than likely can figure out what that solution is, or do some research, or work collaboratively with other people to figure it out. We are never completely satisfied with our results. We always believe that we could do better, we can achieve more, we can be the greatest. So I want to instill that in all of you here, all the young talent here. Just keep that mindset. The consumer is our boss. So again, if you're a startup or an existing company, just understand that your consumer is your boss, and your consumer may not all look like you, right? So that's another part of just the whole DEI space, is understanding your market, who you're marketing to, who's buying your product, and making sure that they feel welcomed and they feel thanked for even doing business with you, because they don't have to. We strive to be the best at serving and partnering with our customers, who are the gateway to our consumers. So working with our customers, working with our vendors, making sure that we are doing our best. We believe in common sense and simplicity. So just trust your gut, right? and do it and keep it simple. So, and we manage our costs tightly to free up resources that will support profitable top line growth. If you have a business, if you are new in the talent, if you're looking for a job or whatnot, to work somewhere, just understanding that your resources, and to us, our resources are our best resources are our people, right? So just really managing those well. And then also never taking shortcuts. In this space, you absolutely, like Kenneth just told you, you cannot take a shortcut, because one misstep could really set you way back for years. And it's hard to come back when you've had a misstep that takes you all the way back for years. So really just don't take those shortcuts. Next slide, please. And again, we've come to the conclusion of our conversation today. So I just wanted to pop this back up. So anyone that's looking to have an employer of choice, Anheuser-Busch would love to be that for you. And if you're looking to partner, if you're a diverse organization, or if you have an opportunity, we would love to, that aligns with Anheuser-Busch, we would love to speak with you. Feel free to use my QR code so we can connect on LinkedIn. And then also, please don't forget to drop your takeaways onto that Myro collaboration board. It'll be up all week so we can learn from one another.
I love it. B.Marcell Williams, the Digital Career Success Series, Urban League Jobs Network style. You were exceptional today. I just want to thank you and the team at Anheuser-Busch for supporting the work we do here at the National Urban League and the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. Hats off to you all.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. And thank you so much to the National Urban League. It has truly been a true honor to be here with you all today.
All right, let's do it. Let's go to the next slide. So, we're going to go past the questions because we just walked it through. B.Marcell was answering every question on the fly. If you want to connect with her, hit her up on LinkedIn at the link below. I connected with her on LinkedIn, so I know she's there. And B.Marcell wins on Instagram. I love that tag. So yeah, please connect through. My name's Kenneth L. Johnson. You can connect through with me. Instagram, LinkedIn is the place I kind of live. Twitter, or you can visit the website at eastcoastexecutives.com. This is the work we do consistently. Let's go. All right, next up, we're taking a break for the summer. We're going to hang out at the National Conference in DC. Please visit nul.org for additional information about that. There's parts of it that will be virtual. We will be there. So please jump in on that. When we return, we will be talking Black Women's Equal Pay Day. So just stay connected to us on all our social media feeds, and we will provide consistent information about what's going on with the Digital Career Success Series and the Urban League Jobs Network and the National Urban League as a whole. All right, I'd like to thank, of course, Dory Brown. Dory's behind the scenes, really keeping us afloat here. Dave Gannon handling the Facebook feed today. Adonia, Kanjit, I know you guys are doing work and working the chat. We really appreciate you. And last but not least, I want to thank Wanda Jackson, our fearless leader, who kind of keeps this thing going. My name's Kenneth L. Johnson. We will be back after the National Conference in DC, but check us out in DC. go to nul.org, register for the conference. It's an exciting time. We were in St. Louis in 2017, b.Marcell. I can't believe I didn't see you out there or meet you, but something tells me we're going to stay connected. So thank you again for just making yourself available to the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. And Anheuser-Busch, thank you for supporting us. We really appreciate it. We'll see you all soon.